What's going on, guys? RBG here with another video on Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, and this won't be the usual video where we update you on things. Well, it sort of won't be because we do have some awesome updates pertaining to Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, but I just wanted to address this quote-unquote issue that shouldn't be an issue at all. For the most part, the ride towards the release of Spider-Man Miles Morales has been a very smooth one, but as usual, there has to be a few unnecessary bumps that can hinder everyone's decision on if they should pick the game up or not. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, G2A. If you're looking for a way to purchase the hottest video games without burning a hole in your wallet, you should really consider checking them out. They offer key codes for different platforms such as Steam, PS Network, and Xbox for half the price of the original. So why wouldn't you want to take advantage of this deal? You absolutely lose if you overpay. So go ahead and seize the win. You can do so by clicking the link that will be provided in the description of this video. But yeah guys, as I was saying, there's been some trouble in paradise regarding Spider-Man Miles Morales, and before I dive into this unwarranted negativity, I wanted to at least hit you guys with some positive news because we're about to go in later on. A few months ago, shortly after we got the reveal for Spider-Man Miles Morales, we also got news that the Ultimate Edition will be bundled with the remastered version of Marvel Spider-Man. And before we could celebrate all the added additions like the ray tracing and upgraded graphics, we got hit with the new face model for Peter Parker. And to make matters worse, we found out that this game wouldn't be accessible via smart delivery, where the purchasers of the original game would simply transfer all of their data to the PS5. They'd essentially have to replay the game all over again and having to complete the more rigorous challenges to get those gold and platinum trophies. So that was very unfortunate news to hear, because we're already spending roughly around $70 to play this newly modified game. But as the months rolled on, Insomniac started sharing some good news with us, one of which was this awesome news that owners of the original vanilla version of Spider-Man for the PS4 will also receive the newly added suits, those being the Amazing Spider-Man suit and the recently revealed Arachnid Rider and Armored Advanced suits. And at the time, Insomniac hadn't necessarily specified when we'll have those suits, but we could expect to play with them really soon on the PS4. So that was also news that relieved a lot of us. Something else that you'll be relieved to hear is that Marvel Spider-Man Remastered will now be available via smart delivery. This news was given to us out of nowhere yesterday through a tweet made by Insomniac themselves, saying, and I quote, "We have heard you. In an upcoming update for Spider-Man PS4, we will add the ability to export your save to Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. This update would also add the 3 new suits from the Remastered to the PS4 game. We expect to bring you this update around Thanksgiving." So as you see, Insomniac has once again come through and answered our prayers, which in all honesty I'm not too surprised about, because they've already proven that they have our best interests and are willing to listen to the fans when we ask for certain things. And they may not always react to everything promptly, as seen when some of the fans harassed them about adding the Raimi suit, but they ultimately delivered it to us, for free I might add. I also want to take time to apologize for stressing how disappointed I was regarding the last 2 suits for the Remastered Edition. Insomniac was kind enough to give talented artists a chance to see their visions come to life in the game, and I already know there's a high probability that whatever suit on my wishlist didn't make it into the game this time around will actually be in the sequel to Marvel Spider-Man. Anyways, shortly after announcing this news, fans had certain questions regarding the remaster, one of which was how much it would cost if we didn't buy the Ultimate Edition and only chose to buy the game separately, to which Insomniac promptly responded saying, "You can upgrade your standard edition of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales from the main in-game menu on the PS5 for only $20. And when asked how the 3 new skins will be obtained if we've already completed the original game, they answered saying that the PS4 game gets these suits via an update around Thanksgiving. Doesn't matter if you have beat it or never played it. One of the most important questions in my opinion would have to be if we could actually purchase a physical copy of the Remastered Edition, and they mentioned that it is only available as part of the Ultimate Edition or by upgrading the Standard Edition from the main in-game menu of Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5. And I tried to get some clarification on if they meant that the Standard Edition of Spider-Man PS4 could be upgraded to the Remastered Edition, or if they're talking about Miles Morales in particular for the PS4 being upgraded to the PS5 version, but I really didn't get any answers on that. It's a bummer that we may have to settle for not getting a physical version of the remaster, but it's better than forking over $70 just to be able to relive those great moments over again with better visuals and performance. Spending $20 for the title that's essentially been improved with a few added perks is a steal, not to mention that if you don't necessarily care for the new bells and whistles like the new face for Peter Parker, you can still play the game for free if you have the original. It's also important to note that you could potentially play it with faster loading times since the PS4 version will be backwards compatible with the PS5. We just need confirmation on if this backwards compatibility will require us to to upgrade to the remastered version of Peter Parker, because I know some will opt to not do that just so they can have the original Peter Parker. I tried to message them this question, and hopefully I didn't come off as a negative Nancy regarding that. We'll just have to wait and see how they go about handling those particular things. Nonetheless, this is some great news to those wondering if you get to experience the new remaster in Suits. But with all the positive stuff out of the way, I wanted to jump into the negative portion of this video, because this is something that's been kind of harped on, but not to this magnitude, and it's regarding the length of the game. It's no secret that this game isn't going to be as long as the first installment, and Insomniac has already gone out and stated that Spider-Man Miles Morales will serve as that of a standalone expansion with a smaller scope and size than the main game. And even though we were a bit apprehensive about the game's length, it wasn't anything that was going to deter us from picking it up. Spider-Man Miles Morales was looking like it could give us a hefty amount of content to tide us over until the official sequel drops. Since the embargo lifted, critics reassured us that it feels like a full-fledged game as opposed to an expansion. But for whatever reason, we still have those naysayers who are hell-bent on proving that it's simply too short to warrant the amount of money it will cost. And I'm not sure if it's coming from Xbox fanboys or it's coming from people who have a high standard when it comes to open world games, but if I were to take a wild guess, I would have to pick the latter. Like, it seems like for whatever reason, there's this ultimate requirement that if a game features open world elements, it has to be this super lengthy, super long experience, which I honestly don't understand. It's bad enough that this generation instantly deems a game a failure if it doesn't feature open world, as if it's going to determine if it's good or not. I've already stressed time and time again that not every title needs to give you that Grand Theft Auto experience, especially if there's not too much to do in that sandbox. Whenever a developer is tasked with that objective, which is a huge one, they either give you some solid side missions or they give you these pointless fetch quests that add literally nothing to the overall story. They're basically just there because the devs needed to add that extra filler to make it feel like you're getting the ultimate open world experience. And as much as the haters like to call me a fanboy for Marvel Spider-Man, I pointed out how once you finish the game, the replay value in terms of the open sandbox elements varied. Because you're Spider-Man, he can't jump into a car and he definitely can't go rob a bank. After it's all said and done, the most you can do is help out pedestrians and stop the occasional high-speed car chase. That's pretty much it. But on the flip side, I was happy with my overall experience with Marvel Spider-Man because Insomniac gave me a solid single-player experience and the side missions they gave us actually fit within the game's story structure. The main story campaign took roughly around 20 hours to complete, with some gamers noting that it only took them 17 hours. So there's that. You have a pretty solid narrative-driven single-player action game that gives you a bang for your buck. Just looking at that alone should show you that Insomniac is going to make that $40 purchase for Spider-Man Miles Morales well worth it. And according to an article written by Forbes' very own Paul Tassi, he seems to echo these sentiments. He says, and I quote, "Reviews are now live for Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is also coming to the PS4, and they are answering a common question people had about the game. As a spin-off more akin to Uncharted Legacy, how long is this game going to be? The answer appears to be a range. The Washington Post's James Park said it took him about 8 hours to beat. I heard some others say it was more like 11 to 12 hours. This is being deemed quote-unquote too short by a lot of people, especially for a full-price AAA game. First of all, this is not a full-price game. It's $50, $10 less than the old standard of $60 and $20 less than the new apparent PlayStation standard of $70. A $70 version of Miles Morales also gets you the Spider-Man base game remaster. Second, I absolutely think this industry needs to make more space for shorter games, as not everything needs to be a sprawling open world that's 20 hours minimum or 50 hours for full exploration. Nor do we need everything to be a quote-unquote forever game, the new Destiny-like trend where a game essentially exists in perpetuity. And I'm not going to read this entire article because it basically prefaces what I said earlier. Not everything has to boast over 100 hours to be a complete game or worthy of every penny. This has been proven over and over, and even though the highest selling game of all time has done that, not every game is going to fit within that same genre. Because as I've stated, Spider-Man needs to do a few things, which include saving people and stopping bad guys. He doesn't need to be in a heist. Considering that the original game took 20 hours to complete and its weakest point was how dead it was after completing the main story and DLC, I think those things have been fixed with Spider-Man Miles Morales. As Paul Tassi has stated, the game's main campaign can be beaten in 11 hours, but according to completionists, it will approximately take you at least 15 hours to do and see everything in the game. And based on the various interviews and coverage, the side mission activities in Spider-Man Miles Morales will be more expansive than the first game. We already see that most of the set pieces are going to be far larger, which is made apparent by the Rhino boss mission you guys accused me of spoiling for you. So I think some of the people saying that this game is going to be short need to chill. If you feel it's something that isn't for you, then by all means just play something else. There are plenty of titles out there that feature those super long cutscenes and pointless fetch quests for extra padding that you guys love so much, but not everyone wants to experience that. There are individuals who just want to play a game that gets straight to the point and give them a solid single player experience, whether it be 20 hours or 10 hours. I'm pretty sure if this game's story is superb, then people will only want to come back and replay it even more. I know I am, because I love going back and replaying Marvel Spider-Man just so I can see how awesome the different suits look during the in-game cutscenes. But anyways, man, I just had to address this stupid argument people were making. If you want those extremely long hours in an open world game, I'm pretty sure Rockstar has something for you. But if you want an awesome single player experience that gets you straight to the point, then I think you should give this game a try. By the time I upload this video, we should literally have only 2 days left until the game releases worldwide. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. Are you excited that Spider-Man Remastered will now feature smart delivery? And how do you feel about the bogus claims of Spider-Man Miles Morales being too short? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.